ChatGPT, make me a Skoda Enyaq that's a little bit smaller and slightly more affordable. And the result is the Škoda Elroq in Tiamo Green, no less. A car that starts from €36,000, rises after all the grants to 50 grand if you want the top of the range Sportline with all the extra power and the largest battery, but certainly at the lower end of the high 30s, this is a very affordable car that's going to compete directly with the Kia EV3. What's it like? How does it perform? What's it like to drive? This is the first Skoda press car in the country, and today on Not Beyond Cars, we're getting an early first look. You'll notice this vehicle that the Skoda bird is gone. In fact, the only place you'll see the bird now is on the wheels. This is the tech deck face. It has all the radar sensors and everything you need for the car behind here. It doesn't light up, it doesn't do a crystal face for now at least, but it does resemble the Facelift Enyaq, which is also now kind of looking very similar over the nose. This has an improved drag coefficient. It's a little bit better than the Elroq, which is essentially an ICE version of this now. That's the direct comparison. However, 50-litre tank in a Elroq, let's call it litre of petrol 180 these days, that's about 90 quid. You'll charge this overnight if you've got a decent night rate for about 8 quid. So it's kind of even better than 10% of the cost of fueling one with petrol. Only the Sportline version comes with Matrix headlights, which are essentially twice as bright as the Matrix headlights on the Enyaq, because technology has advanced that quickly. They will sweep slightly differently on Sportline versions as well, but I think this still looks nice. It's kind of a different pattern on the Sportline version. I like just the simple strip here. Airflow obviously very important on an EV. You've got some air curtains down here. Let me know in the comments, would you pay the extra for the Sportline, or do you think with the upgraded wheels, with the front of it that looks kind of sporty anyway, and a different colour like Tiamo, maybe the upgraded interior, which is 700 odd quid, would that be enough to keep the cost down and not go to the 50 grand? What is also cool in this car is you get a power pass, and plug and share is on the car. It works with ESB and Ionity, and what you'll be able to do is rock up to your Ionity charger, for example, plug this in, no apps, no cards, it just recognises the car and builds your plug share account. And that, from a charging perspective, will make life a lot less complicated. 4488 millimeters long. It's 200 millimeters shorter than an Enyaq. Gives you an idea of the space. Don't worry, umbrella still comes in the door. Over the wheel arches, this is plastic. This will probably change on the Sportline to give you more high gloss or color coding. Kind of like the way it juts out here. These are upgraded alloy wheels, Hankook tires, 21-inch wheels. Is that the best way to get range out of your EV? No, but they do look nice. Roof rails on the top, a good bit of chrome going on, and this plastic area over the spoiler that again will be black and high gloss on the Sportline version. The turning circle is also impressive. Very unusual for brands to mention other brands, but they say it's as good as a Fiat 500 turning circle, which is, you know, just very, very handy for maneuvering the car around. I will say the mirrors are huge over the side of it. 145, 165 and 175 kilowatt charging speeds, depending on the battery size you have. This is the highest speed. Obviously DC charging. I think that's pretty quick. If you want to help with your range, a heat pump is €1,271 extra. Doesn't come as standard, but battery preconditioning does, so you can heat the battery up on your way to a fast charger and get the optimum charging speed if you're dealing with a cold vehicle. All the necessary bits come on the Elroq, including a wiper, the new Škoda lettering on the rear of the car, Elroq model designation down here, 85 on this side. You don't get sweeping indicators on this particular trim. That comes in the higher spec with the Sportline. Quite a large plastic black bumper down here with some silver smoother finishes on that. Idea, I suppose, being that if this gets a rub in a car park, it won't be as obvious. The boot is what's very impressive for a smaller car. It is a Skoda after all. Now, it's also a manual tailgate. It's quite a heavy boot on this car. You don't get a sense that this is a tin box by any stretch, so you might prefer that to be electric. 470 litres in this. It is over 100 litres smaller than the Enyaq and certainly the Kodiaq. And my only real complaint about it is underneath here, there isn't anywhere for charging cables. I mean, there's a small little area. You can't manipulate the height of this floor, but there's not much of a lip. What I love about it are these drawers. It's like someone from IKEA snuck into the Skoda factory overnight and said, how can we make this more Swedish back here? I mean, these shelves are absolutely fantastic. You can split some of these areas to stick in the boot. They have Velcro on them, which will just keep things secure. Shopping hook holders. Well, it's just the layers of these things are what really catch the imagination. There's a 12-volt charger back here if you need to keep a cooler box going or you like to camp in it. There's actually a couple of things missing when it comes to things like 12 volts up front in the Elroq. I'll cover that in just a second. One area I have to give Škoda a little bit of a kicking for. When I first looked at this car, under the boot parcel cover, there was a cargo net for the Type 2 cable. That's a 300-ish extra as part of a pack if you want it. It would have been nice to throw that in as standard, lads. Come on! Overall though, great classic example of a Škoda boot, and the 470 litres is pretty decent. I'm curious to see what people think of this interior. So this is the Lodge upgrade. It's not huge money to upgrade, about €700. There is a suite version which is over £2,000 if you like all the more leather carry-on and the extended bits, and then there's the Sportline trim. But this is the Lodge. The loft is the standard. Gives you these orange coloured seat belts and this kind of mix of, it's kind of like a grey interior mixed with black. There's lots of bits of orange dotted around the car, and it kind of brightens it up. It's, in my opinion, one of the nicest Skoda interiors I've sat into in quite a while. There is a really good amount of space here. You're not talking Skoda Superb levels of space, but there's plenty of room for knees and feet, and head height, also plenty of give there. If you need access to the rear of the car, there is a ski hatch for that. Comes through this way. The armrest doesn't have a device holder. You've got to upgrade a bit more for that carry-on in terms of model size, but it has decent drinks holders and it's at a comfortable angle. The doors open fairly wide as well for getting child seats or kids in general in and out of the back of this car. Totally flat floor, so lots of space down here for your feet, and there's 2 USB-C charging ports, but just standard air vents, not climate control, at least in this version of that. There's a device holder down here. It's not particularly deep, but nothing up on top. But there are lots of Skoda accessories you can get on the website that will attach bits onto the metal bars on the headrest to attach devices to. Up front in the Elroq, you're talking, again, Enyaq vibes. I just want to overstate, I really like this interior. It's bright, it's fun, just gives the car a lift. Skoda bird, again, missing from the steering wheel. All the clever stuff, the drinks holders, sliding armrest, all the different contraptions that you can hide down here. Everywhere you look in a Skoda, there's always an extra thing for storage and bits that fit in here. There's just lots of them. They're all parts of different packs, and you can have a look at the website and see which is more beneficial to you. Physical buttons down here, but lots of it going on in the touchscreen. Also, I mentioned earlier on, some of the usable stuff like the 12-volt charger, I'm certainly not getting one anywhere here, and the dash cam port that you get in the Kodiaq, and I think the Enyaq as well, is missing, which just makes wiring a dash cam an awful lot easier. I like this new screen. It just feels a nicer thing to look at. The way it curves around the dash is good. There's a lot of dash space used up here. Cruise control stock is on this little area, and then if you want to access any of the ADAS shortcut features, there's an assist button that will help you to do that. These seats, they're bolstered enough, again, not a Sportline, but giving you nice levels of comfort. You can get massaging seats. It's all, as I said, in the options list if you want to have a look at that. Ambient lighting, here's a shot at night time of what it looks like. Also a bit of storage down below where your transmission tunnel would typically be, so that's handy. And there's Isofix points on the front seat, so there's 3 in total in the car. Interesting mix of brake horsepower then, 167, 200 or 280 in this version of the car, that's giving you options for pretty much all types of drivers. 280 certainly seems like an awful lot for a family SUV, and having driven the 201 and multiple products from Škoda and the group, it has more than enough power. Obviously this is nice for overtaking. It's not a like thunderingly quick car all the same. It doesn't necessarily feel like you've got 280 brake horsepower. It's more than a Golf GTI's worth, but it doesn't have the same intense power delivery. This is a car that's more built for comfort, getting people around in. It definitely, to my mind anyway, drives a little bit better than the Enyaq. It is 200 kilos thereabouts lighter. You know, that's 2 rugby players less in the back of the car, compromising the handling, ride quality. It is still a little bit jittery over certain road surfaces, but on good road surfaces at motorway speeds, it is better. Last time I drove this car, it was the DCC chassis option, which does transform it. It's over €1,000 if you get it in Ireland. Terms and conditions apply. Over €1,000 if you get it in the larger battery, because that's the only way you can get it. If you get it in the Sportline, also still with the larger battery pack, it's €899, part of a driver's pack. So there's a few things you get in it. I personally really like DCC. Changes how a car handles, gives you a lot of flexibility. Some people may not feel it's worth it. I think the standard suspension is fine, but it does add an extra layer of comfort. There's a B selector down here. Some versions will get paddles, so you just kind of let the regen do its own thing. There's no one pedal driving as such compared to other brands, and the brakes, very much reminiscent of the Enyaq. It is spongy. I'd like a firmer bite point. Perhaps that will happen in the next generation cars such as the ID2. I'd love a bit more feel in the brake pedal. On the handling front, I mean, it's all right. It's not, again, it's a family car. Will the Sportline change things with a slightly lowered suspension and all that perhaps, but I don't have any, you know, there's no huge levels of body roll in it. For what it is, it's absolutely fine. Just think of it as a more affordable baby Enyaq, and you won't go too far with what you might think the Elroq is without touching it and feeling it yourself. Driving this car sensibly, and remember this is the higher brake horsepower version, 17.3, sort of 17 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers is where the efficiency figure is hovering. The better drag coefficient, the slightly different design over the nose of the car, all presumably contributing to that. But that is an impressive figure considering it's 8 degrees, not in summertime, not the ideal conditions that the car would have been tested in, and it's not a million miles away from the WLTP figure. That's impressive. The glaringly obvious question for me here is this Skoda doing what they do best? A relatively affordable family car, loads of practicality, and if you want, it starts with a 3. And we haven't seen this in electric from Skoda yet. This is a good move, I think. This is a car that is almost guaranteed success. There were points in 2024 when the Enyaq was the best-selling car, EV car in Europe. This is just that little bit more affordable now. It's still got lots of space, lots of Skoda Simply Clever stuff going on. And as I said earlier on, I actually don't know if you need to go Sportline in this car for once to make it look really, really good. It pops with those relatively affordable packs. These Supernova alloys aren't going to break the bank either. I just personally think 21s on an EV, that's a lot. I would probably dial it back for a little bit better comfort, and definitely consider the DCC if you think it's a valuable thing that you might enjoy. I certainly do like it. Please do let me know what you think in the comments down below. We're so close to 50,000 subs now. This could be the video that gets us past that, so you might consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. Thank you for the continued support on the channel. It means a lot. I'll see you in the next one.